Good Monday morning. Thanks for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Breaking right now, if you were woken up by a helicopter overnight in St. Paul, here's why. Police are looking for a suspect in a shooting. It happened just before 1 o'clock this morning in the Maryland Avenue East neighborhood. Our photographer on scene tells us there were at least 12 squad cars and a helicopter flying over the area. One of the K-9 officers confirmed with us it was a shooting. Right now, we don't know the condition of the victim, and we, of course, will update you as soon as we learn anything new. In the escalating fallout from the U.S. and Israel airstrikes against Iran, the Iranians are retaliating, hitting Israel and U.S. military bases across the region. And military officials confirm there have been American fatalities. Congress returns tomorrow, with many lawmakers calling for a vote to force President Trump to get Congress's approval before any further military action. NBC's Alice Barr has details from Washington.
Hi there. President Trump is promising to avenge American service members killed in combat and calling on the Iranian people to take over their government. This morning, the Pentagon confirming 3 U.S. Air Force fighter jets crashed in Kuwait, mistakenly shot down by Kuwaiti air defenses during active combat under Iranian attacks. All 6 American crew members ejected and were recovered safely. It comes amid growing violence in the Middle East, with Israel and Iranian-backed Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon exchanging fire, following this weekend's U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth weighing in.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
Lawmakers return to Washington tomorrow for the classified briefings many are demanding.
Combat operations continue at this time in full force.
Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in the Saturday strikes, and now 2 sources briefed on the matter tell NBC News the attacks were timed based on intelligence Khamenei would be at a meeting with senior leaders. As Iran strikes back, now 4 American service members are confirmed killed in action. U.S. officials tell NBC News they were part of an army unit based in Kuwait. 4 others were seriously wounded. President Trump mourning the losses while warning.
Sadly, there will likely be more.
The president told NBC News in a phone interview he decided to act because Iran was unwilling to say they would not have a nuclear weapon following weeks of negotiations. Reaction from Capitol Hill largely split on party lines.
I think the president has started a war of choice.
The mothership of terrorism is sinking.
Across this country, Iranian Americans hoping for freedom while protesters fear a spreading conflict. Lawmakers are expected to vote this week on a war powers resolution that would require President Trump to get approval from Congress before taking further military action. Democrats expect some Republicans to join them, acknowledging it would be a close vote that they say would send an enormous message. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Right now, the price of oil is surging in response to the fighting in the Middle East. Experts say that we could see price hikes at the gas pump as soon as today. And just in the last few hours, AAA released today's outlook on gas prices. You can see right now the national average is just under $3, sitting at $2.99. So far this year, the national average has not exceeded $3, but experts think that could happen soon. We, of course, are monitoring those prices and will update you when it changes. We're learning new details this morning about a mass shooting in Austin, Texas that killed 2 people and injured a dozen others. In the last few hours, the FBI confirmed that the tragedy is being investigated as a potential act of terrorism. Officials say the shooter, a 53-year-old from Senegal who became a naturalized American citizen, was wearing clothing with an Iranian flag design and the words "property of Allah." Police say he started shooting just before 2 o'clock in the morning at a busy downtown entertainment district and continued down the street with a rifle until officers responded. He was shot and killed. The city's mayor says he's heartbroken.
Obviously an extremely significant moment and a very significant event. It is one that has brought significant trauma to our city, and our hearts go out to the individual victims and their families as a result of this event.
Authorities haven't given a clear motive for the attack yet. The FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force has joined the investigation. Happening this morning, Cody Forencam, the man charged in North High's star athlete Deshaun Hill's murder, will be sentenced a second time. As Megan McPherson explains, today's sentencing comes on the heels of a shocking guilty plea.
Cody Forencam's sentencing hearing today comes after he entered a surprise guilty plea last month, just 1 day into his retrial. And at the time, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty said that his plea should mean that he is being held accountable for his actions. But for those unfamiliar with his case, Forencam shot and killed 15-year-old Deshaun Hill Jr., a star athlete at Minneapolis North High School, in February of 2022. Forencam was convicted of second-degree murder in 2023, but that conviction was thrown out a year later after the Minnesota Court of Appeals ruled that key videotaped jail statements were illegally obtained. Hill's family told us during last month's retrial, the decision felt like a slap in the face.
I was just like, F you and your family, and we don't care about y'all. We protect the criminals in this state. We don't care about kids or none of that.
Now, Forencam is now expected to spend 28 years in prison. That is 10 years less than his original sentence. Back to you.
Developing this morning, the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office declaring a protest at the Whipple building as unlawful. Deputies arrested dozens of anti-ICE protesters yesterday, saying that they blocked roads, threw glass in the street, and threw water bottles and rocks at officers. 38 people were cited and one person was taken to jail. Protesters were calling for the federal land to be returned to Native people. They also say the land where the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers meet is an important part of Native culture that's been used by the federal government to intern Indigenous people in the past and detain immigrants now. We've officially passed a 1-month mark since Nancy Guthrie was reported missing from her home in Arizona. And right now, local and federal officials still haven't publicly identified a suspect. Today's show host Savannah Guthrie and her family have now offered a $1 million reward for any information leading to their mother. Her family reported the 84-year-old missing when she didn't show up for church. The sheriff says it's still following many leads. Well, don't forget, if you have a permanent ice house on a lake in Minnesota, you have until 11:59 tonight to get it off. The deadline for the bottom 2/3 of the state. Now, the northern third of the state has a few more weeks. When you clear the lake, officials also say to make sure you grab any trash with you so you don't face any fines. And today is the last day to see Minnesota ice castles at the fairgrounds. They're closing at the end of today as the warmer weather is settling in. Crews started to build the castles in October, and they opened for the season in late December, which is the earliest opening date ever. In Northeast Minneapolis, people came out to support local immigrant-owned restaurants, part of their Dine and Demonstrate event along Central Avenue. Organizers say the goal is for people to spend their money supporting businesses and families that have been hit hard during Operation Metro Surge.
We're kind of today focusing on our immigrant community businesses, which are really very much the heart and soul for those of us who live in Minneapolis. This is where we go to eat. This is who feeds us. And so these are our neighbors. We love them. We care about them. We want them to know that.
The event ended with participants lining the streets to show their support. In this morning's Communities That Care, we're highlighting the Four Seasons Curling Club. They just hosted the Gateway Games benefiting the Lupus Research Foundation. The center manager, Todd Burr, and his wife, Regan, founded the organization when Regan was diagnosed with lupus. It was a full day of curling matches with all the proceeds going towards finding a cure. Their next fundraiser is their annual Pro-Am featuring some Olympic curlers at the end of May. Let's stick around, more news and weather coming up after the break.